So, I'm Gordon Copeland. Alright, let's see. Okay. So, what I'm supposed to do here is talk to you about what has been going on between me and your mother, Simin. This is to you, Robert Costa, from your biological father, Gordon Copeland. That's right. I keep looking over here because over there is the little screen that tells me if I'm in the frame. Yeah. Trying to make this look pretty good for the future. Not really succeeding very well, but trying. How's that? Okay, so what I'm trying to do is give you my account of what has happened between me and your mother. Where to start? I guess this is going to be an ongoing process, and this tape has an hour and a half, so I guess I can ramble on a bit if I want to. I'm here. Today is October 26th, 19. See how old I am, Robert? 2005. Let's see. What's the timeline? It's a difficult timeline. But I believe in October 13th is when your mom called me from Cyprus, and I got very upset and said, look, this isn't going to work. We have to stop talking. I mean, I didn't say we have to stop talking to each other. I said, I don't want to hear from you anymore. And I guess that's why I'm making this video, to tell you why I did that, and to explain a little bit what's the background of that is. And I guess I feel a little guilty about doing that. Today is the 26th. That was the 13th, so that was about 2 weeks ago. I mean, to be honest, I understand that I have to do that. For your sake, for my sake, and for Simon's sake. For your sake, so that you have a stable environment, home that you can grow up in, that you can play in, hopefully. Perhaps Simin will marry someone else and you'll have a stepfather that will hopefully guide you. For me, it's been a lot of insanity and a lot of strong emotions and a lot of crying and a lot of heartache, because it's been tough, and I guess I'll get to that. And then for Simin, I think it's best if we don't stay in contact, because I think that your mom, Simin, should move on past me. I believe she loves me in her own way intensely. I just believe that it's better for all concerned that she moves on. And I have to say, Robert, I got to know your mother. Let's see. It'd have to be April 2002. A little bit before that, in March 2002, her mom, Hadijeh McGonaghy, or as she has changed her name, I guess it's Martha Allison. She came into my class and then subsequently introduced Simin, your mother, to me. And after that, we went to a party in Los Angeles, and she was it was an Iranian party. I was the only American guy. That was pretty humbling, and of course we were attracted to each other, and subsequently, we started seeing each other and dating. And, I was attracted to your mom because she was from the East and Iranian and spoke a few languages. English and Farsi and Greek and Arabic and something else. A couple different other things. Although her English, I found out, was not as good as I had thought. So we started dating at that point, and she was still in my class. This was April and May and June. June was when the class ended. And her mom and her would come into the class, and she'd kind of carry on a bit with me and play in class because her English was good. I was teaching English, by the way, for Newport Mesa Unified School District. It was in Costa Mesa High School, right around where her parents lived, in Costa Mesa. So I got to know her parents and her pretty well. And, we were dating, and she and I, during that summer of 2002, really connected well. We definitely connected on a physical level. I would say that we didn't connect as well on an emotional level, although your mom probably would say different. But that was a difficult time for me because I had a girlfriend that just before Simin that had tried to commit suicide, and I was still trying to get away from her and trying to put that in my past, and that was very difficult. I did not want her to try to commit suicide again, yet I wanted to break up and kind of move on. So that was a difficult time, and I'm sure your mom would say a lot more about Sandy. I did see Sandy and your mom at the same time at a certain point, and I was trying to break it off with Sandy, but that caused a lot of friction between me and your mother, and I'm sure she'll tell you more about it. So, there's that. Okay, so at that point we're dating, and I'm kind of getting out of the orbit of Sandy, my ex-girlfriend at that point. And it was difficult because I wanted to remain friends with her, and your mom was pretty jealous of that. And I was still seeing her too, to be honest. I don't want to lie to you about that. I don't want to lie to you at all, Robert. I was still seeing Sandy too. We were still being intimate. So that was not fair. Although me and your mother were just dating, it was probably not fair of me to do that. So, your mom found out about Sandy, and we had a lot of fights and a lot of long discussions, shall we say. And so that happened that way. Okay, so after that Sandy incident, we were kind of rocky, but I think we moved into a different era, me and Simin, where we were trying to be close, but I gotta say, look, here's the honest truth, okay, Robert? Your mom was somewhat of a virgin before she met me. Now, she had sex, but she had not been loved in a sexual way, and I gave that to her, and I think she fell in love with me intensely through that. And I think that we connected deeply on a sexual level. I'm sorry, I know that might not what you want to hear, but that's the truth. Okay, so we connected intensely on a sexual level, and so we kind of stayed together through that, if that makes sense. We were unified through that, and I had told her at that point we need better communication and we need better intimacy, and that was lacking in the relationship. We did not have that, and part of it is because Simin didn't speak the best English, and she tried to get better, but her English skills were not up to, better communication. And I don't know if it's all about her English too. I think coming from Iran, it was a little bit difficult to open up and to talk about her feelings. And when I first met your mom, she wouldn't look at me. She'd look down, and she'd look at me and look down real quick. So it was a little bit difficult. So, we went through the Sandy period, and then we moved on from there. And there was a time frame in there in February of 2003 that I think I'd prefer to let your mother talk to you about. But there was, in February of 2003, there was some problems between me and Simin. So I'll defer to your mom to talk to you about that, and if it's the right time, I'll talk to you about it too. But it doesn't seem right here, so hopefully I'll be able to talk to you, or your mom will talk to you about that. February of 2003. So we went along, and after that, towards the end of the summer of 2003, and I'm sorry, that's right. I lost my job in April of 2003. Yeah, I lost my job, and so after that I was unemployed, and I went on unemployment for a while, which is a check you get from the government every month to cover your expenses while you're supposed to be looking for a new job. But I did not look for a new job. But anyway, me and Simin just kind of stayed in the apartment for, it seems like, forever. And from my perspective, I was pretty depressed. I was pretty down. So that was from April on. And in February of 2003, we also moved from the from the Costa Mesa apartment to the Corona del Mar apartment on Goldenrod. And then in April I lost my job, and we just stayed there. And I got a new car too in February of 2003. So that was good. Okay, so new car February, moved in April. Yeah. New car in February, moved in April, I believe. I believe we moved in the beginning of April, and then towards the end of April is when I lost my job. Okay, so at that point, we're kind of hanging out for the summer and just kind of staying inside a lot, or sometimes we go out, we have fun. But there was a lot of kind of, what are we going to do with ourselves? And, now it was kind of a setback, and I wanted to kind of find something new. So we moved on from there, and we went to a time period where we were fighting pretty heavily, and I kicked her out. I said, you have to leave. I broke up with her basically and said, you have to move all your stuff out. She would not move her stuff out, so I packed up all her stuff and moved her back to her parents' house. Now, she had her parents' house to go to, so it wasn't like I booted her into the street. But I did want to break up pretty badly. And I packed up all her stuff, and, I tried to be as gentle but firm about it as I could, but I said, this is ending here. Unfortunately, I took her back, and that, I was at that point pretty depressed and lonely, and tried to take a stand and be kind of get out of what I thought was a bad relationship. Okay, so it took maybe a couple days, and I took her back, so it wasn't that much of a breakup, but it was pretty distinct in that she did move out. All her stuff was out of my place. Now, before that, prior to that, she had moved in kind of gradually, a little bit by a little bit, until she had her own key, and everything was kind of like we were living together. Now, that was gradual. That started in Costa Mesa and it continued in more. She was more moved in Corona del Mar in April of 2003. So, but she had started moving in Costa Mesa, and for my money, Costa Mesa was always kind of good times. And when we moved to Corona del Mar, it wasn't as good. My memories are kind of not as good at Corona del Mar apartment. The Costa Mesa apartment was really nice. We used to take walks at night. We used to, oh man, we'd have a lot of fun there. It seemed like. So it was a little bigger too. The Corona del Mar one was a studio, and Costa Mesa was a 1-bedroom. So anyway, so through the summer of 2003, we were kind of, I don't know, we were sort of strained, and then towards the end of the summer and into September, October, that's when I said that's it, and I broke up, and then I took her back. So she was supposed to be taking birth control at this point, Depo-Provera, which is 99.8% effective, really good birth control. She was not, and she decided that she wanted to get pregnant and was telling me she was taking birth control but was not. And that's the truth on how you got here, okay? In a way it's a compliment. She wanted to marry me and start a family with me. The problem is that we didn't have good communication and good intimacy, but we had good sex. And that caused a lot of problems in that it caused problems in that she wasn't taking birth control and decided that she wanted to have sex, but was going to start a family without consulting me, without my approval. And at that point, Robert, I gotta say, I told your mom that I was not in love with her. I said, I'm confused about love, which is true. I had just started telling my mom that I loved her. That was really difficult. And I was confused about love. So I had told her once or twice towards the beginning of 2003 that I loved her. And then immediately after that I had said, no, look, I can't really say that with full confidence. I can't really say that and mean it from my heart, It's not like I can't really put all my heart and soul into that statement. So, I was not in love with her, and I told her one night when we used to play cards or other games together at night, and I told her one night, sat her down and said very pointedly, I'm not in love with you, number one. Number two, you're in love with me, and you're the one that's going to get hurt, if that's the case. Number three, I don't see us getting married, okay? So if you think you want to get married or you want to do something further in your life, I'm not your man. And I told her that after we had broken up and I had taken her back. So at that time is when she decided to get pregnant. So she got pregnant, and of course this was very traumatic. And it caused a lot of problems. A lot of problems. Okay, now comes the part where it's not very flattering for me. I pushed your mom to have an abortion, which would mean that you would not be here today. That's very tough to say that, because I've seen you and I love you. I'm confused about love, but I still love you, I can say that. I don't run this over in my mind very much, because if I do, it drives me crazy, as you can imagine. it's not something that I want to think about too much. It's difficult. And if you do the reverse logic, it's too hard. Like, if you had done an abortion, Robert wouldn't be here. Well, Robert is here. So it's hard to say, what if. I didn't not want you. I didn't want the concept of a baby with Simin, because I knew it would be difficult. I didn't love her. I wasn't going to marry her. So that's where I was coming from with the abortion. So at that point, she informed me in somewhere around the end of November, the beginning of December 2003. I wanted her to get an abortion, and she agreed and then didn't agree, and she basically played a lot of games with me at that point, saying she would, saying she wouldn't, and it was very difficult for me, and very difficult for her too. And definitely I was yelling at her, and we were arguing a lot, and we were negotiating a lot. Another thing I have to tell you, I promised that I would marry her if she would get an abortion. I'm not very proud of that, and I did not intend to marry her. I figured that she was tricking me, and it was fair that I could do the same to her. So that's the full disclosure of the unflattering side for me. Okay, so we proceeded from there to fight a lot and to go over things really hard. And at that point I said, she's just playing games. Go to your parents. I don't want you here. And so she went to her parents, moved out of my place, went to her parents. And she would call me, and I would call her, and I'd go and talk to her, and she'd talk to me. And I think the basic thing was, look, if you have an abortion, I'll stay with you. If you don't have an abortion, then we're not going to be together. That is another thing I had said to her. So at that point, we were pretty hard on each other. We were fighting with each other, and she was playing games, and I was being pretty hard on her. I was talking pretty sternly to her and really arguing with her a lot. It was very difficult. Okay, so at that point we figured out, that at some point you can't have an abortion, so she's going to proceed. And I just pretty much said, that's it, because I was pretty emotionally spent. And I would talk to her on the phone, but, we weren't going to be together, so that was the breaking point for me. Now, she was pretty pregnant, and so what I did was I wanted to see what was actually going on. I felt very fooled, shall we say. I did not understand what was happening, and I looked to her mother as kind of, being a psychology person, I looked to her mother to see what she is like. Her mother is her in the future. So I wanted to see what her mother was like and talk to Martin too, her stepfather. So what I did was I offered to paint their house. So I started painting their house, and one guy painting the whole house takes a long time. And I started probably somewhere in the winter, towards March maybe, in March 2004, and your arrival was in July 10th, as you know, so I was working up to then. So I worked for a couple months there, day in, day out kind of thing, at least a couple days a week, sometimes 5. And your mom would come out and talk to me, and she was very pregnant, very big, and after that, we started to get back together. So we were together a bit. I was with your mom when you were in her belly. I always had the joke that you were like this. Penis, my penis. Okay, so we got together, me and your mom, again, and so it was kind of on again, off again. It was pretty stormy, shall we say. Pretty stormy there, and I think I slept with her when she was 7 months pregnant, if that helps. And it was just a lot of craziness, a lot of chaos and craziness at that time. And I slept with her, and then I kind of said, look, this is wrong, and just kind of broke it off again. And your mom went a little crazy on that too, and we had talked a few times and then not talked, a period of time where we would talk, a period of time where we would not talk, and I'd try to keep communication open, but it was pretty difficult, like the craziness, because she'd be wanting to sleep with me and I'd be wanting to sleep with her, and I didn't necessarily think that that was the best idea for both of us. So at about 9 months, I broke it off when you were in her belly for 9 months, towards the end of June. Yeah. And I went up to Oregon for a little while for a wedding, my cousin's wedding up there. And unfortunately, that drove your mom a little crazy. I didn't tell her I was going, and it was just for a week or two, but it was about a week. It was a family reunion too, by the way. A lot of them on mom's side of the family was there. So she was a little crazy at that, and I got back on the 4th of July, and on the 9th of July, your mom, this is pretty controversial, and she might have something else to say about it, but this is the way that I had understood it. She, on July 9th, had tried to reconcile with me earlier in the day on the phone, and I had said no, and I'll be there for you, but I'm not going to be with you. So I had said I'd be there for the birth and be there for her as far as birthing and as far as you, but I said I wasn't going to be there with her. I didn't want to be with her. So on the 9th, the day before your birthday, she went to the beach and waded out into the ocean. And unfortunately, she had a suicide note in her purse. Now, I don't think that your mom was going to commit suicide. I think it was a cry for attention. And I think she went out there just to have this cry for attention. I don't think that she planned on committing suicide with you. I think that she wanted the attention, and she was just a little bit crazy. She afterwards had said that she was trying to cleanse herself. So anyway, it was a very difficult time, and unfortunately the police were called, the paramedics were called, and when they saw the suicide note in her purse, which they found, they called the police, and she was in the hospital. She was in the hospital, and then they called me, and I went there and talked to her, and I talked to the social worker that she was with, and it was assigned to her, because when you try to commit suicide, you get a social worker. And the social worker and I agreed that it was a cry for attention. So that was deemed kind of a fake suicide, but considering that she was 9 months pregnant and pretty much full term at that point, they decided that the next day they were going to induce pregnancy. Now, this was not a problem because she was almost to her due date. I think it was another week. And the inducing pregnancy, meaning a cesarean section, she was going to do that anyway. And so they called her doctor, and they said the next day they could do a C-section. And So she spent the night in the hospital, and she was very groggy and pretty out of it, and crying, and I stayed there with her for a while. And I bought you a bear, a Lakers bear. I don't know if you have seen it in photos, but that's the day before your birthday. I bought you a bear, and I brought it to her in the hospital there. So the next day, the suicide thing caused a lot of problems. Not suicide, the fake suicide caused a lot of problems. And I didn't know what was going on. It was a very difficult time. Like, I didn't know if she had really tried to commit suicide. It seemed like it wasn't, because I looked at her car afterwards and it was locked, and I looked at how it was parked, and it wasn't parked. It's weird. It was like she was just mild-mannerly going to the beach. So it didn't seem like a suicide. I think it would be more sudden, and it would be not as neat, shall we say. So anyway, so the next day they called me and said, you have a little while to get here before we induce birth. So I went the next day. I went right away. It was the next day, and they induced birth, and I was there. I went with my friend Lisa. Simin said that was okay, and her mom was there, and so I got to go into the delivery room when you were delivered, and cut the cord, the umbilical cord, and I saw Simin's insides because they cut her open. Jesus Christ, I'll never forget that. Okay, never, ever forget that. Okay, so at that point, she delivered a baby. She delivered you, and she's really out of it, and I got to kind of play with you, and I have a lot of photos of that, and a lot of fond memories. I got to change your diaper, and you were peeing all over the place. I had to wrangle that in, and it was just nice because I got to be with you, and Simin was kind of being put back together, and it was nice. So me and Simin spent some time together in the hospital when she was recuperating, and with you, and she would hold you, and we got a lot of those pictures. Unfortunately, then social services got involved and took you away from her. I think it was on the third or fourth day at the hospital. She had been in the hospital for a few days, and so she was supposed to go to court, and that is that on the 11th? Maybe it was the next day. I have the court papers. Wow, maybe it wasn't a couple days. Maybe the day after you were born, they took her. I don't know. I'll have to check on the time of that. Anyway, a little bit after, either a couple days or one day, we went to court, and at that point, I gotta share one other thing with you. I had said that if I had a boy, that I always wanted to name him Thomas. And this was after my uncle. My Uncle Tom is someone that I admire and care about. And Simin knew this and wanted to name you Tom. And I said, no, because we're not going to be together, Simin. And I don't want you to name this boy Tom. I want it to be something that we both agree on, and I don't want it. I didn't want that because it didn't seem like we were going to be together, and I wanted that to be something for me, not something that Simin wanted to do for me or in spite of me. So anyway, she put your name down as Tom. And I said, look, you can pick any name you want, just don't pick Tom. She picked Tom. She said after Thomas Edison. Anyway, so I got enraged, and we called down to the birth certificate place and had your name changed. And my name was on the birth certificate at that point, and I asked to have it taken off. I have to be honest, I did that. And if you'll notice, there is one part of me that's still on that birth certificate. It's so weird. It's my birthday is on as the father's birthday. I have a copy of the certificate. I wanted to be off the birth certificate, and I wanted you to have Simin's name because ultimately in my heart I knew that it was most likely that we weren't going to be together. I mean, I wanted to try to be together. I wanted to try to do something right for you and stay together if we could, if any way we could, but it didn't look like it was going to work that way. So that's what we did. And at that point, she picked the name Robert. So we went to the court, and on all the court papers, your name was Tom. That's why. And they asked me if I wanted to take a paternity test. Now, I said no because I did not see us staying together, and I had to be honest, okay. At that point, I was somewhat afraid of all these bills that were going to come up because of her attempted suicide. There was a lot of doctor bills, and they pay for you to be placed in a home, and that cost a lot. And I was wondering about child support, and I wanted to work that out between me and Simin and not with the courts. Okay, so at that time, this is really hard, okay? At that time, I showed up to the court, and the court appointment. It was a day or two, probably. I guess it was just a day or two after you were born. And Simin did not want me there. And I didn't understand why, and I was very curious why that was. But she didn't want me there, and she didn't want me to have a copy of the court papers. Well, I soon understood after that why, because on the court papers it showed her marriage to Clay Custer. Now, this is the first time that I had learned of it, Clay Custer. And the court papers showed that she had been married for a year and a half to Clay Custer from March of '03. And she had been hiding that, and her family, her and her mom and her stepdad, had been hiding that from me for a year and a half. And Simin really desperately tried to not have me find out about that. She wanted me not to go in the court. She didn't want me to have a copy of the court papers. She asked the clerk specifically if he would not give me a copy of the court papers. So she was really desperately trying to hide that. And I can understand why, because at that point, once you've kept a marriage from me for a year and a half, it's pretty hard to stay with a person that's been married for a year and a half and been hiding it from you. And it turned out that Clay Custer was your step-grandfather and grandmother's in Costa Mesa, their house. It was their next-door neighbor. And supposedly, at least, I'm still not certain of all this, but it was a neighbor. And this neighbor was gay, and Simin married him for convenience. Like to get a green card to stay in the country. Green card. I have to tell you about something that happened in October of 2002. I have to rewind and go back to that point. On October 2002, your mom, she says it's August. It could have been August or October. I remember it as October. Your mom remembers it as August. But anyway, in either of those months in 2002, at least we got the year right, she asked me to marry her to stay in the country. And I said I had to think about it. Well, this was the time period where I was still seeing Sandy. And this so your mom thought that Sandy was interfering in this. Well, she wasn't. There was no Sandy interference at all. What I did was I went and asked some of my Iranian friends about this, and a lawyer that worked for the immigration department. And I asked them what I would incur if I did this. And this was post 9/11, September 11th, 2001. That's when the United States trade towers, 9/11, you probably understand that. But so this was post 9/11, and there was kind of a terrorist scare in the United States, and those kind of marriages were not only scrutinized, but shall we say, under a microscope. They were really looked at hard and long, and not, assumed that the couple was a legitimate couple. And so I looked at the evidence and determined that I could not do that. And that hit your mom pretty hard. She has held that inside of her for a long time. I think that that's the single greatest, shall we say, thing that she holds against me. Okay, that's the single greatest thing that she holds against me. So when I did not marry her for her to get legal status in the United States, I believe she was either a tourist or a student at that point, visa, and she needed to more permanent. She took that very hard, and I always refer back to it and say, look, Simin, you asked me a question that took a lot of guts from your part, and I respect that. I really want you to know that I respect what you asked me, and I take it very seriously. I'm not trying to say you're trying to take advantage of our relationship, or that you're trying to take advantage of me. I only said it was a real hard thing to ask, and I admire you for asking that of me, and I just have to say no. If I can do something for someone in a way that I don't, in a way that I'm not going to be put away in prison, then I'll do it. But if the risk is too high, of course I can't. And the risk was too high. That was the truth. And if it wasn't that high, I would have done it. But she has held that for a very long time against me. And I didn't understand that until pretty recently. At the time, I thought, well, she tried, and that's good. She gave it, you can always ask. You don't know until you ask. It was good. Anyway, so she asked, and I said no, and she held that in pretty deeply. Okay, it looks like the battery is running out, so I'm going to go time out and return in 1 minute. Okay, continuing with the new battery. Okay, so I think we left off at the part where we went to court, and I found out she was married. Yeah. So I remember walking out of the courtroom with your mom to the parking lot across the street and saying, "That's it. That's it for me." I put up with a lot, which we can go into another time, but there are things that I am not saying on this tape that we need to talk about maybe in person. But I put up with a lot with Simin, and at that point, that was it. I just saw her as manipulating me and not communicating with me, and just doing her own agenda without considering me at all. Going through her own agenda. So, she went through hell, I gotta say. Your mom went through hell when you were at social services, when you were taken from her. And since I was not declared the father, I could not visit you. So she would go with my mom and my sister. My sister came by, and that was hell for her. I know it was. And she was desperately trying to get you back. Desperately. And from July to, I believe, the end of September is when she got you back. September 30th. She was visiting you as much as she could and didn't understand why she were taken away, and she wanted to sue them, and she was getting Johnny Cochran, and she's a big-time O.J. Simpson lawyer, a big lawyer. So she was pretty upset about that, and I was upset too, but I had no control over the situation, and I wasn't seeing you, so it was pretty, I was a little bit removed from the situation. Now, at that point, she was involving my sister and my mom, and I was asking her not to involve my sister and my mom. And I also asked my sister to stay out of it, which she did not, and me, it makes sense. I understood that my sister wants to be involved, and she's kind of, we don't really, we're not close, and we don't get along that well, so she's, she's going to help Simin. Now, my mom helping Simin was something that I really had a hard time with. In the courtroom, in front of the courtroom, there were two sides, my side and Simin's side. My mom went and sat with Simin, and that really hurt. And Simin had a man that was helping her, Alex. I don't think they were romantically involved, but he had a wife that she was asking him for help, and he would go to the courthouse with her. And I was there all by myself, and Simin and my mom and her mom and Alex were on the other side. And so that caused a lot of strain between me and my mom. And Simin has caused a lot of strain between me and my family, I guess is my point. Subsequently, I asked my mom to stay out of it, stay out of this thing between me and Simin, And she did for a while, but then Simin contacted her, and they started to have, my mom started to have visitation with you. And that caused a lot of problems between me and my mom, but for you and for your mom, Simin, that was pretty good. That helped. And that's separate from me and my mom, our problems because of that. Okay, so that takes us up to September of 2004. September 2000, that's right also. At that point in July, a little after you were born in July, I had planned to move. I moved up to Oregon in August. Must have been August. Yeah, the end of July. In August of 2004, I moved up there for a couple months. September, October. I was trying to get a job up there and maybe get established. I got all my stuff out of the apartment, got a trailer, and went with my friend Lisa up to Oregon to stay with my uncle and aunt. And didn't tell Simin where I was going. I wanted that to be a fresh start. I had seen that it was not working well between me and Simin, and so it looked like social services was going to keep you for a while. So I was pretty distraught and left. So okay, so that takes us up to September, say the beginning of October 2005. So, or 2004, sorry, 2004. Around then, when she got you back, is when I moved back here. I moved back in with Lisa in Corona del Mar, where I'm at now. I started to have feelings for you even though I had not met you, and for your mom, and wanted to see if we could make a go of it. So on Thanksgiving Day 2004, towards the end of November 2004, me and your mom had a serious heart-to-heart talk, and finally she confessed everything that had happened between us. Now, prior to that, in September 11th, 2004, September 11th, because I remember the September 11th part. On September 11th, 2004, I had called your mom, and we hadn't been talking for a long time. I said, I want to meet with you. And what I said was to her, I forgive you. I forgive you for five things. For getting pregnant without pretty much forcing me to have a child with you. And the three things that I said that went along with the forcing is, you were deceptive to me, and you betrayed me, and it was immoral to force a person to be a father or to be a mother. Either way, I was very upset about that, and I always use those three words, which are pretty inflammatory, but your mom was pretty much in denial a lot, just kind of playing games. You know, your mom did not tell me that she planned this out until I went to the birth control center and parked in the parking garage and said, look, you either go upstairs, find the paperwork that says you took the birth control, or tell me the truth. We went back and forth like that for an hour and a half in this parking garage, and finally she confessed. Finally she told me she planned it out. And took an hour and a half, but she did. So, anyway, I can remember yelling at the top of my lungs to her over and over, yes, Gordon, I deceived you. Yes, Gordon, I deceived you. I just wanted her to say that, and she wouldn't get into that. She would not get past the denial. And that really affected me pretty strongly, and I was very upset, very angry at that. So, okay, so on September, let me back up, September 11th, before the Thanksgiving talk, September 11th, I said, I forgive you for five things. For the forcing me to be a father. For the involving my sister and my mom in this and kind of manipulating it. I mean, basically, at that point, my mom and my sister are involved, and I'm having problems with my mom and my sister. And, you know, that's more about my mom and my sister. It's not about Simin, but I said, you know, I've blamed you for that, so I forgive you for that. I also forgive you for being married for a year and a half and not telling me. And I also forgive you for having hepatitis and not telling me. I found out when she gave birth, through her blood tests and through the birth records, that she had hepatitis the whole time. Well, if you don't tell me that you have hepatitis, I could get it. It's transmitted. It's a miracle I didn't get it. And after that, I got immunized. And you were immunized too when you were born. But, you know, if you have it and you're involved with someone, you need to tell that person. So, and the fifth thing that I forgave her for, the four things I've said so far, forcing me to be a father, involving my sister and my mom, being married, hepatitis, and that other thing that must not be that important. If you can't remember it. Anyway, okay, so there's one other thing that I'm neglecting. If it comes to me, I'm going to tell you. Okay, so on September 11th, I said I forgive you for that, and she thanked me, and she was crying, and I was trying to be very generous to her and try to get to move on. So I flew back up. I was flying back and forth sometimes for court, mainly for court dates. So I flew back up to Oregon, and then I came back around Thanksgiving, the end of October, beginning of November, around Thanksgiving, and we sat in her parents' kitchen in Costa Mesa, and she talked for about 2.5, 3 hours, and she just spilled her guts and said all the true things, and that was good. It was definitely a clearing of the air, and at that point, I decided to try to give it a second chance, second or third or whatever chance. So I started seeing her again, and I have to tell you, Robert, I did not want to see you. I felt that your mom was going, if we weren't together, was going to try to use you to get to me. So I didn't see you for a long time. I think until January or February of 2005, I believe, maybe December. But throughout Christmas, I didn't want to see you. So when your mom came to see me, and you were with her, I would take off. I didn't want to, and I took off because I told her, look, don't bring Robert, okay? I'm not ready for that yet. And I have to tell you, I wasn't ready for that. It's a big responsibility, and emotionally, I knew I was gonna. That's part of me. I love that kid. I was instantly gonna be in love with you. So I didn't see you until I think January, maybe early February. And when I did, you had a nice smile. It was nice to hold you, though you were very shy with me. And we started developing a relationship. You know, I would come around and try to play with you and hold you. I'd observe how Simin was bathing you and put diapers on you and, you know, took care of you. And I saw how you liked balls. You know, you'd throw a ball. And I was pretty aware of that. You know, when I was a child, I liked throwing balls. I started relating to you. You know, you liked balls when I was your age. I liked balls. I had a ball book. So, anyway. And then after that, I started taking you places by myself. And when I started taking you places by myself is when things really, between us, really started to bond. I can remember picking you up. I'd pick you up every Wednesday. And the first Wednesday I took you out for a couple hours, and after that I'd take you for probably 8-10 hours usually, sometimes less. And I would take you out. And usually I would go over my friend Sherry's house. Sometimes I'd go other places with you. But my friend Sherry had a baby, Timothy, who was about a year older than you. And he liked you a lot. You and him got along really well. And there were other kids in the neighborhood and other moms there. And me and Sherry have been friends for 20-25 years, so we got along well. And I would take you over there a lot, and Sherry would, you know, Sherry loved you too right away, and Sherry and Simin got along. I took Simin over there once to show her where I was taking you, and you know, it was okay. We had a great time. I would take you over there, over to Sherry's house. She lived in Costa Mesa, not very far from where your grandmother and step-grandfather lived. Excuse me. So, I would take you over there. I believe that started in March or April, and it ran into September. So, pretty much for the whole summer, and for some of the spring, I would take you every Wednesday. Every Wednesday. And there were 1 or 2 Wednesdays when Simin was not there to allow me to take you. And that was pretty painful. I really look forward to the Wednesdays with you. Sometimes I didn't really know what to do with you. Like what was the good thing to do, you know? I'd take you over to some of my friends' house and show you around and show you off. This is my boy, you know? Alright. This is him. This is Robert. And mainly we'd go over Sherry's, and she had a swing there, and I'd push you in the swing. And you were crawling still then, so you weren't getting away from me too fast and try to keep you inside. During the summer, sometimes it was hot. I remember one time I sunburned you pretty bad. Your mom, Simin, got pretty angry at me. So, Sherry had a pool, and I brought over another pool, and she had a big birthday party for Timmy, and we had a great time. We just had a great time. We'd allow you to, crawl around in the backyard on the grass, and they had a little rabbit, and they had a cat too. And you pet the rabbit, pet the cat. You chase the rabbit a lot, and they had a lot of balls too. You throw around the ball, and got a shot of you playing a little basketball thing. And we'd go around the neighborhood too. There was a time when you got a little bit bigger, I'd put you on my shoulders a lot, and just hold your feet. It was really good. I loved that. And we'd take you to the mall. I used to take you to the Fashion Island a lot, because there's a little fountain thing that had drops of water going up, and I used to like watching you run through that. There were other kids running through too, and it was really nice. You'd get wet, but it was good. And you'd always want to stick your hand in the fountain. And, I'd take you around. I think you really liked that. You'd sleep really well after that, I'll tell you what. And so I'd take you every Wednesday, and we'd go different places. We went to this park by the beach, Balboa. I have some video of that. And we went to Chuck E. Cheese sometimes. We went to the mall, the Fashion Island. We went to a park. Sometimes I'd take you, just me and you, and I'd go play basketball, and you'd crawl around. Or after you were not crawling, I only had you for a couple of times when you were actually walking and running. But we had a lot of good times. Sherry was very good. We had a little crib Sherry had a little crib for you. We put you in her bedroom and had the air conditioning on, especially during the summer because it was pretty hot. You'd sleep really well, and I'd sleep there in the bed and wait for you to wake up. I'd change your diaper and feed you and all that fun stuff. It was really good. We had some good times. And then just to provide some background too, me and your mom were seeing each other at that point, and we were seeing each other in February. Starting in Thanksgiving, going through the holidays and into January and February, we were seeing each other, and then end of April, the beginning of May is when we broke up. We were seeing a Persian therapist for a while that we had thought would help. She was seeing her, and I said, "You might as well take me along. Let's see if this is really going to work." And we saw her a couple months at least, every week, once a week. And we tried, we tried. I tried. I really did try. I tried. So anyway, somewhere around April and May, I decided that, it wasn't working out. So I said, we're not, we had set a deadline of April, I believe. No. February. Where we were either going to be together or not. This is getting ridiculous. And so I said we should extend it 2 months, and so we did. So towards the end of April, beginning of May, I said no more. I was the one that said no more. I told your mom that I had problems with commitment, and that I couldn't commit to her. Well, that is true, but it's also true that I had problems committing to her because I couldn't trust her. There's no way I could trust her. So that was the whole story. So we said that I would still take you on Wednesdays, and Simin started developing headaches that I was going to say that I'm sure she'd talk to you about, because that's her reason for going away. But she's having problems with her mom and stepdad too. I don't know the extent of that. I just get secondhand information, and I really don't know what happened there. But she was looking pretty depressed, and not happy about her situation, and for a while there she didn't want to talk to me, so she'd just leave you on the porch or leave you with a neighbor, and that really wasn't going to work out very well. So we kept going on this little path, and I believe your mom wanted me back the whole time, and I was not going to go back. It was not going to happen that way. So I think once we were talking during this time too. We talked for a couple hours in the car or wherever, and I think once there was one talk in particular that happened. Must have been a month or two ago, because now it's October 2005, where I told her what I just said to you. I can't commit to you because I can't trust you. I don't know. I can't trust you, and I don't love you. So, and I gotta be honest, okay? I'm very confused about love. I don't know what love looks like, what love feels like in a genuine way. I hate saying it because that's such a cliche. I'm confused about love, okay? I said I didn't love your mother, but there are times when I did say I loved her. I told you way in the beginning in January 2003, I said it a couple times, and I said, look, I don't know about it. I can't say it with my heart and my soul. And then after we broke up in April or May of 2005, I said, look, I believed I loved you, but, it's difficult for me. So, that's mixed messages. That's not very fair to your mom. So, towards the end of August and into September is when your mom started not to talk to me. And I told you what I just said. I told her I couldn't commit to her because I couldn't trust her. And there were 2 weeks where on Wednesday when she dropped you off that she wasn't talking to me. Prior to that, we went to Coco's in the end of August. Sorry, let me back up. In the end of August, we went to Coco's, a little restaurant a couple doors down from here. And I said, look, I'd like to pay for half of Robert's, needs. And so we worked out a half of Robert's needs checklist. And so I said, I'm going to write you a check in the beginning of September for half of Robert's stuff. Okay? So while she was living at home, half of your stuff equaled $150. When she wasn't living at home, I said I'd give her more. But just your stuff cost about $300 a month. So half of it was $150, which seemed fair. That was the fair thing to do. So I cut her a check for $150. Unfortunately, I cut it on a bank from Portland, Oregon. Portland, Oregon Teachers Credit Union, and when I was trying to get a job up there. And I told her, look, you need to cash this right away. Well, Simin held on to the check for a few weeks, and then she tried to cash it. Well, at that time I had closed the account. So it looked to her like I was paying, but I wasn't paying. But I wanted to give her that money before... I wanted her to cash the check sooner, and she didn't, and that's why the money wasn't there. Okay, so September, towards the end of September, she's not talking to me a couple times when she drops you off. I gotta say, when she drops you off, she gives me like diapers and really good food, like food that she is blended herself, shall we say. She blends up really organic stuff and blends all your juice and everything. And much better job than I could ever do. She really did a good job on your food and gave it to me, which is very helpful to me. That's kind of a, Sherry would help me out a lot with some of the mom stuff, and your mom would too. But it was difficult to figure out, being a new dad. So I never dropped you. Okay, so it's the end of September. She's not talking to me, and I didn't think anything of it, but I bought some diapers and some toys, a big toy for you, at Costco. And after that, I went to go drop it off at Simon's house. And when I dropped it off, it was a Friday. When I dropped it off, I found that Simin had left on Thursday. So, Simin had left with you. And the reason I found it out is because Simon's mom and Simon's stepfather told me, and that caused me a lot of distress. They said you went to Florida. Simon went to Florida with you. When I went inside their house, I saw that all of your stuff was gone. Simon's mom had told me that she was returning, she was going on vacation in Florida, and that a lot of her stuff was stored with a woman in Newport Beach or Huntington Beach or something like that. So when she returned, some of that stuff would be there, and Simin was going to stay with this woman and have a job. Wow, that turned out to be bullshit. So Simin called me from Florida in a few days. I tried to keep tabs on her, see what else she was doing. I thought maybe she wasn't in Florida, she was with my sister in Virginia. So I called my sister in Virginia and talked to her and asked her what was going on. Or, I just kind of hinted because, like I said, me and my sister aren't very close. I just kind of said, look, what's going on? Maybe I'll come by, and come see you, and maybe stay at your place. And do you have room? Kind of hinting at, Simin there. And she said she did have room. I don't think Simin was there at that time. But after that, my sister called Simin, and Simin went, I believe at least, this is what I suspect, went from Florida to Virginia, up to Virginia. And stayed with her for a few days. And then on Sunday, I believe it was October 5th, Sunday, October 5th, she had called me a bunch of times, probably 20 times Simin called me. I didn't have my phone on me, but she kept leaving messages, and she was calling me from the airport to tell me that she was leaving to Cyprus. And that was really hard, because I knew when she was going to Cyprus she wasn't coming back. I wasn't going to see you. So it was very difficult to hear her going to the airport. I have a tape of it. It was really difficult. She really hit me hard with that. And she had to get a passport for you, so it had to be planned. I don't necessarily understand how it was planned, but it was planned. So Simin took you first to Florida, then to Virginia, then to Cyprus, where you are now. Without telling me, without letting me know anything. And after that, I was really depressed and just distraught. I'd like those Wednesdays, and I told Simin that I was gonna take you every other weekend and do more things with you than that. That I wanted to switch from Wednesdays to pick you up on Friday and take you home on Saturday every other weekend, and then take you for a month in the summer when I had off, if I was working as a teacher. At that time I wasn't working. So, anyway, she left with you to Cyprus, and she made a very big point of calling me before she left at the airport from her cell phone. And she called me when she got to Cyprus too, and has called a couple times since then. So, on October 13th is when I took her the last call from her and said, I cannot talk to you anymore. You need to move on. You need to move past me, and this cannot keep happening. And like I said at the beginning of this, my thoughts were that I wanted what was best for you, what was best for me, what was best for Simin. And you know, I lost out on this. I lost out. Because I look at this and I think, boy, years from now, right? Years from 2005 and 2006 and 2008 and 2010 and 15, I'm going to wonder where you're at and how you're doing. I'm going to wonder if you're okay and if you're prospering and if you're doing your schoolwork and if you're playing sports and if you're playing basketball, play some basketball. And I'd like to be there with you when you were doing things. I'd like to show you what I know, and I'd like to learn from you. And I won't be able to do that in the present situation. And I don't think I'll be able to do it. It's better for you that Simin moves on, finds a man, and settles down with him. Get some stability, go to one school, one area, develop friends, and just get on with her life and your life. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's what I would hope for. Anyway, I want to send you things on your birthday and on Christmas and other times. I hope they get to you. I just want you to know that I'm thinking about you, even when I'm not there. Robert, I've been very depressed for a long time about this. This whole situation. I was depressed before this, when I was unemployed. This has hit me pretty hard. This is the hardest thing that's ever hit me in my life so far. And I'm trying to bounce back and start a new life. And I'm sorry you won't be a part of that. That's what I'm trying to tell you in this. I'm going for another life apart from you. I've told you why. And I just want you to understand that I didn't just do this randomly or casually or even quickly. It's taken a lot of thought and a lot of consideration and a lot of tears and a lot of time and a lot of drama. This is not the course for you that I would have chosen. And I always think you're going to be angry at your mom and at me. And in some ways you have a right to. I just hope that you turn out to be... I hope that you be everything that you can be, and that you turn out to be a well-balanced, well-adjusted little man that grows into a big man. I don't know what the future holds for you at this moment, but as you're watching this, I hope that you're watching it in a good way, like that you've found some peace with your situation, and that somehow you know that I do care about you, and that I didn't just leave you or abandon you in a casual way. I didn't want to leave your life. It hurt a lot when you left. When Simin took you to Cyprus. It hurt a lot. It still hurts. It's still fresh, you can see. You and I developed a bond, a good bond. You fell asleep one time on my shoulder. And I didn't put you down, you know. I didn't put you in the bed. I just let you rest on my shoulder for about an hour. I just liked it. It felt close and right and warm. Oh, I tried. I did develop a bond with us, and I wanted it to continue. I didn't know how it was going to continue. I just kind of put faith in building, you know, a bond between us and helping Simin, and hopefully that would all work out. Well, it turns out it didn't. And it turns out that she had other plans for you. I don't know what Simin's plans are for you, okay? I hope that they're... Man, I hope they're, like, good. I hope that I hope she puts you in a good school. I hope she finds you a father. I hope she does right by you. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't really have much control over it. The only thing I can really do is say, Simin, look, just go out there and find a man and a father for Robert. Consider Robert, please. So I've broken off contact with your mom for about 2 weeks now. And then subsequently, also, I've broken off contact with you. When I told your mom on October 13th, I said, look, give him my email, my address, my phone number, my parents' address and phone number, and when he's old enough, he'll contact me. Let him do that. I don't know if she's going to do that, but that's what I would like. I'd like to do what I can for you, and I'd like to see you and spend time with you, you know. If you do have a new father, I'd like to meet him. I don't hold any kind of hard feelings against any man that's bringing you up. I hope he is a good man and does what he can for you. I've tried up to this point. I've tried really hard with you. And Simin has blocked me. So I don't have anywhere else to go now. If I did, I'd do it. We've talked about sharing you. I think that Simin is not as forthcoming or honest about that arrangement. I don't really see that as working out. So, in all likelihood, I won't see you for a while. I just hope when you get to the right age that you come see me and we talk. I don't want it to be like, for me. I don't want it to be for me. It should be the right age and the right time and the right circumstance. Maybe when you're an adult. My friend Lisa says that you should have a choice between, us two, Simin and me, at some point in your life. Maybe you will, and maybe you'll come stay with me for a while. I don't know. Okay, I guess that's it for now. I'll talk for a while. I'm going to do this again, so hopefully we'll connect sometime and you can see this. That's what I hope for. I love you, Robert. Take care of yourself.
Okay, I have a question for you.
I wish.
I've got it down to 6,200 now.
I have a key. I left it. I never touched it after I did it. Maybe Carol has it.
No, she has it. It's mine again. So I got it again.
Whatever key I used to open the cabinet, I left in there yesterday.
Question.
Okay.
We have budgeted food and beverage 1,500. Now my question is, why are we paying for food and beverage for
The branch.
the branch?
We shouldn't be.
I mean, I could see us paying for our water up here and our coffee, but we're paying for them downstairs too. That should be coming out
We are?
of their budget, yeah. That should be coming out of their budget, not ours.
Well, then let's check that out, and we'll divide it equally between each department.
Well, that's what I thought too.
I'm not going to tell John that we're going to change it.
And what else?
Hour.
Forget that.
Well, that's what I thought too. I mean, they've
Are
got
we
their own
videotaping
down there.
people?
They're taping the basketball game, this big sweaty.
And I love this guy coming up, sweaty, dripping all over while I'm sitting here eating lunch.
To put his camera in the window.
Yeah.
Did he ask?
Yes.
He asked before, but he wasn't sweaty when he asked before. And I wasn't eating.
Oh, God, I'm so sorry. It's okay. Okay.
So that would take some off there.
Okay.
Oh, and then for the drug abuse,
Yeah.
the screening, that's 5 people. We're not going to be in here drugging 5 people, are we, for the year?
Is that drug and alcohol screens? So that's if we don't lose anybody. That's for like a whole turnover of staff.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
yeah. So we could
Unless-
cut a little out
Are you
there.
talking about just this department?
Yeah, it's just us here. Just the 5 of us. That would be, yeah.
That's a lot of turnover unless we all go on a revolution.
That's right. Go
And then we
postal.
won't care what the budget says.
Right, go postal.
And we won't care about the budget if
That's
that
right.
happens. I say we should take it out. How much is it?
It's $100, but it costs us $19.95 to drug screen one person. So say it's about 5 people.
So should we just leave 3? Because with the resumes I'm getting for that other position, you never know.
Yeah.
Could be a high turnover. They all think that they're getting, that kind of money a year.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering where that $1,500 should go for food and beverage. I mean, we shouldn't be.
I'm going to go find out right now.
Do that. Because that could get us there pretty close. Put it in John's budget.
This is taking fine. Yeah. No, he took the car. Yeah, he's gonna pick me up. Okay, is there any way you can get a message to him up on the hill? I don't know what to do. Unless, when he comes by here, we'll turn right around and go back out to 73 and get you. Yeah, just sit there and wait and see what happens. But we'll get you one way or the other. All right. Okay, bye.
We just left him with that phone call. I mean, it's okay. That was a yes.